Welcome to @Cronkite News, your social sharing connection where you choose the news. Facebook likes and shares, tweets, retweets, and favorites. YouTube views and subscriptions. We're watching you, watch us. From our digital home at cronkitenews.azpbs.org to your television, web browser, or mobile device. Let's get a refresh on the top Arizona news of the week.
Successful entrepreneurs aren't afraid to collaborate. In Gilbert, that's led to a new business that combines the outdoors, yoga enthusiasts, and a few farm animals.
The morning begins with about 100 people eager to do some yoga moves. And they're getting some help from the farm's most popular residents.
We'll do about 25 minutes of yoga, and then we do a community event where everybody's together and they're doing poses together. It's just a lot of fun for everyone to kind of get to know people that are in their community. And the goats jump on you throughout the class. It's just a lot of fun.
Two friends started the class to combine their two passions.
She does yoga and I have goats, and so we wanted to do a business together, and so goat yoga just made sense.
While the original goats had to be trained to be yoga goats, the babies, they were a little bit different. They were born into it.
And the training process is all left up to April and her 3 children, who work with the goats on a daily basis.
My kids and I will put them on our backs. That's how we first started, and we reward them with treats and positive reinforcement. And then they had babies, and the babies just want to follow their moms. And so now they're so good at goat yoga.
The part that matters the most, though, the reaction from the class.
I think it's great.
Goat yoga first appeared in Oregon, but it's since then become a national trend. We're told the Gilbert Farm is the only place in Arizona where you can enjoy goat yoga.
The spring season is officially here. Trees are blooming, which means the bees are hard at work. A local beekeeper ships his hives off to California, where his bees are used to pollinate almond orchards. Our Cronkite News reporter Adriana de Alba followed the bees to find out why they're doing so important work this time of year.
A synchronized hum signals honeybees are hard at work in Chowchilla, California. This small town just north of Fresno is home to almond orchards. The trees need the bees to pollinate flowers.
The bees' work begins here when the flower blooms, and it ends when an almond is produced.
This year, beekeeper Vicente Gonzalez shipped his colonies from Arizona to California, and the demand continues to grow.
More than 2 million bee colonies are needed to cover 1 million acres of these almond trees in California. They come from all corners of the country, and roughly 5,700 of them come from Vicente.
Bees are critical for not just almonds. Bees are utilized in a lot of pollination of tree fruits, other vegetable crops.
Bee brokers like Ryan Cousins connect bee colonies with the farmers that need them.
We try to keep them healthy, so when they come to this paradise of flowers, they take advantage and do what they need to do, which is to produce food for us.
This hard-working bunch serves a great purpose to build their hives and help us survive. Their short lives will only last an average of 40 days in the spring. So next spring, a new buzz will fill the air of these orchards. In Chowchilla, California, Adriana de Alba, Cronkite News.
Check out Cronkite News on Facebook to learn what you should do if you're stung by a bee.
Today is the day our state has set aside to honor Tuskegee Airmen, the first African-American military wing in the U.S. Army Air Corps. Ivory Reiner attended the ceremony at Luke Air Force Base and talked with one of the first Tuskegee Airmen.
The Tuskegee Airmen were the first African-American military airmen with the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II.
Here we go again, sound of freedom.
Today, a wreath was placed at the Tuskegee Airmen Memorial Air Park at Luke Air Force Base to honor the Archer-Ragsdale, Arizona chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen. There are only 5 of the first Tuskegee Airmen left in Arizona. Lieutenant Colonel Robert Ashby joined the Air Force when he was 17 and served for 21 years, which included 1 tour of duty in Korea. Ashby volunteered for the Air Corps after they started training African-American men to fly airplanes. He especially didn't want to join the infantry.
You're marching along at nightfall, wherever you are, you sleep there. And I decided, well, you know, if I am in the Air Corps, I'll go out on a flight and we come back to the base and go to bed.
Colonel Kurt Gallegos was the commander of the 944th Fighter Wing and served for 32 years.
Working with the great men and women of the 944th and the 56th Fighter Wing to do the mission to support and defend our nation. We do it on a day-to-day basis.
After the war ended, the airmen say they faced a lot of racism and bigotry despite their outstanding war record.
After the service and we got out, then we started thinking about what we accomplished as the Tuskegee Airmen. Then we decided we need to get out and interact with the youngsters.
Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated was formed to encourage young people to get involved with the public and the democratic process. In Glendale, Ivory Reiner, Cronkite News.
A new scientific study detailing how hard and how fast collegiate football players were hit during games may one day lead to new ways to diagnose and prevent concussions. Cronkite News reporter Mia Maslar shows us how it could help athletes, soldiers, and even people involved in car accidents.
The results of the study were just published in the Scientific Reports Journal on Friday from data collected between the 2013 and 2016 seasons.
TGen and ASU football partnered on a 3-year-long study where players wore special helmets. The Riddell helmets were equipped with sensors that wirelessly transmitted data to a computer on the sidelines during games. Dr. Matt Huntelman says around 40 players took part in the research each season. Researchers studied what changes happened in the body after multiple head impacts.
We measured every single impact in real time. This included practice and game impacts. They were all quantitated. We knew the direction, how hard the force was, and this all happened almost instantaneously.
Huntelman says a buildup of small hits can accumulate over time to cause a concussion. Former ASU football player Jason Franklin knows the danger all too well.
It didn't even look like that hard of a hit, quite honestly. It was a normal impact for the game of football. It didn't look like something that should be noted, but even the play before that, I actually had a really hard hit, and this one tripled the impact to my head from that first initial hit.
Ultimately, researchers hope the study will help diagnose issues more quickly.
I wanted to develop some type of a test that could be a rapidly administered test that would help understand if a player did receive a head impact or did they receive a concussion that may not be showing typical symptoms that would currently be diagnosed.
Learning how to tackle more efficiently and taking time before getting back on the field after a head injury are just two of the many safety precautions researchers suggest taking. Dr. Huntelman says the study could help others suffering with brain injuries, like soldiers or those involved in car accidents.
This type of research could apply to other areas as well. If you think of soldiers on the battlefield that might be exposed to different blast levels from explosive devices, as well as car accidents where a person might bang their head, a better way to assess how the brain is doing, if you will, for a lack of a better way to explain it, is really going to be an improvement for those areas as well.
Now this study will be available for other researchers to analyze in hopes they come up with better ways to diagnose and treat brain injuries like these. In the Broadcast Center, Mia Maslar, Cronkite News.
Law enforcement knows how to deal with terror attacks and even explosives, and the training can be extreme. Reporter Chloe Roundshaw headed to Tucson to see bomb squad training in action.
At a deserted airbase in Tucson, Corporal Oscar Benavides Jr. disarms a potential bomb threat. The scenario is not an emergency, but a lesson. For local and military bomb squads, Raven's Challenge aims to merge local and military training, according to program manager John Simpson.
There are two different training disciplines that they learn before they get here. So this is an opportunity to fill that gap.
85 public safety and military bomb squad operators spend 3 days, expense-free, surrounded by explosives.
That was a half a pound of explosives.
They're improving emergency skills and learning new technology, including the growing threat of unmanned aerial vehicles. Trainer Michael Newell designed this plane crash scenario to simulate a threat aimed to injure responders.
They're figuring stuff out on the spot, and they're going to take these procedures, spread this information out, and hopefully we'll be able to write some standard procedures for this stuff.
All it took to send this car up into flames was about a half a pound of TNT. That equates to just half this bottle. Smaller scale tests like these prepare the operators for larger threats, like when a car is holding not just half a pound, but but 500 pounds of explosives.
If the bomb squads and the military EOD folks leave here at the end of the day knowing more about how to operate in a hazardous environment than they did when they got here this morning, we're successful.
Simpson can't connect Raven's challenge with success in current events, but the program reaches 80% of operators in the U.S. In Tucson, Chloe Ranshaw, Cronkite News.
The program started in Seattle 11 years ago and now is nationwide.
Everything around us seems to be smart these days. We have smart watches, smartphones, and now we have smart homes that are controlled by a single tablet. Reporter Morgan Wheeler took a tour of a smart home that just might be the future for homeowners.
An HGTV smart home has keyless doors, motion-activated and musical toilets, and a refrigerator that can show you need eggs and butter while you're still in the grocery store. But how soon will homeowners see this in their houses?
I have one in my own home where my kids can come and go without keys. I can let people in even if I'm not in the house.
One generator, one smart tablet, and a whole lot of smart technology is all it takes to get this $1.5 million smart home in Scottsdale running.
This becomes the keys to your entire house, whether it's your lighting system, your audiovisual system, your safety and security system.
The master bathroom has some of the latest tech gadgets, with one thing that catches the eye and ear. A motion monitored toilet automatically lifts up the seat cover. It also plays music. The technology continues in the kitchen.
The refrigerator is always kind of like the home's bulletin board. It's where you put the artwork that the kids make. It's where you put your to-do list or your shopping list.
It also has a built-in camera. Homeowners can remotely look inside while out shopping, all from a smartphone. All the smart technology features can be useful, but how realistic is it for homeowners to purchase or install their own smart home system?
You can take any home and spend anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 and make it very smart and have it do a lot of things. Smart isn't as expensive as it used to be.
Smart home security could be tricky. Just like with a regular home, anyone can get in if they want to.
You can do really smart things like make sure that your router has a safe and secure password, your keyless system has a safe and secure password, and that if you lose your phone, you immediately are aware and you can lock that up so that nobody can grab it and have access to your home.
Also, if the internet system crashes, there is the possibility of outsiders hacking in. Another possible downside, if a smart tablet dies, you won't have access to the home. And homeowners should think about having a generator installed to run those smart items in case of a power outage. In the broadcast center, Morgan Wheeler, Cronkite News.
Lost Lake Festival was announced as a new music festival coming to Arizona. While the city is very excited, reporter Amanda Luberto heard from residents who have some concerns.
Promoters and city officials announced that they plan to bring a 3-day music festival to Central Phoenix in October. Mayor Stanton said at the unveiling how excited he is for Lost Lake Fest to call Arizona home. Though the music festival has 6 months before it opens its doors to Steele Indian School Park, residents have expressed concerns through social media. Phoenix resident Jessica Riley is most worried about the light rail and out-of-towners in her neighborhood.
People get on for free and ride, which, is probably not a big deal in itself, except for the fact that a lot of people do it, and then they mingle into the neighborhoods, and so we do have a higher crime rate.
Superfly, the minds behind Bonnaroo and Outside Lands, 2 of the nation's most successful music festivals, thought it was time for something this size to come to Phoenix.
The city of Phoenix has seen more music festivals come to the valley in the past few years than it has ever before. With the new music festival being announced recently, the city of Phoenix is hoping to see a cultural and economic impact, even though there are still some details to be worked out.
Sister festival Outside Lands brought in over 50,000 attendees in its first year in San Francisco, and in 2015 had an economic impact of $80 million, according to research by the city of Phoenix. Co-founder of Superfly, Rick Farman, says the big impact it will have on Phoenix economically is tradition.
Things typically impact a community in the tens of millions of dollars. So, and the other thing that's really interesting about them is, they're every year.
Mayor Greg Stanton encourages people to ride the light rail system. He views Lost Lake Fest as an opportunity for the valley. In Phoenix, Amanda Luberto, Cronkite News.
The festival is scheduled from October 20th to 22nd. No word yet on which musical acts will perform.
According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 73% of the coding field is comprised of men. However, Cronkite News reporter Cassidy McDonald found that there are many women-based groups in the Phoenix community making efforts to close the gender gap in the coding field.
Seeing a group of women who catch up once a week over coffee is nothing out of the norm. But at Changing Hands bookstore in Central Phoenix, there is only one requirement to becoming a part of this caffeinated group: have an interest in coding.
What I'm trying to do is a weekly code and coffee.
The Women Who Code weekly meetup runs through a partnership with the national nonprofit Girl Development Program. The purpose is to create a sense of community and provide tutoring to women in the coding field.
Every week there's somebody new that is interested in programming, but we always have someone there that comes because they're feeling they're not part of things maybe in the workplace. Maybe they're the only woman in the department, but for some reason it got to be associated as a man's job.
Many women who are involved in the Girl Development Program say that the lack of women in technology-related careers can instill feelings of doubt.
It's this imposter syndrome, right? Everybody goes, it's not really me who's doing it. I can't really do this. So I tell them, I say, you know what you need to do is you need to get inside your head somehow. Figure out how to get inside your head and tell yourself that it's okay.
According to the U.S. Department of Labor Statistics, women hold only 26% of the approximately 4 million computing-related occupations in the U.S.
I'm outside of ASU's School of Computing, Informatics, and Decision System Engineering, where an ASU coding professor told me that only 10 to 20% of all students in her class are women.
See a lot of female students succeed in our program, and actually top students tend to be female students too.
However, in order to encourage more female students to pursue computing careers, she feels that women need more exposure to the field.
They don't get exposed to this kind of concepts early on, so they feel a little bit intimidating when they come to colleges.
Pond says that the program helps empower women to show them that they can become coders.
2 years ago, I was doing girl development classes, and now I'm a developer. If we can empower women in technology, then they're going to empower other women. And it's just going to be this kind of flow into closing the gender gap.
In Phoenix, Cassidy McDonald, Cronkite News.
The Women Who Code group meets up every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. for an all-ages event at Changing Hands bookstore in Phoenix.
There are between 10 to 30 million deaf people that use sign language as their primary way of communicating in the U.S. But with advances in technology, deaf and hard of hearing people are left behind with very limited resources. Cronkite News reporter Chantel Delagula tells us about a life-changing device that is giving deaf people a voice.
So many new things happening. It has helped us to become more familiar and more easily accessible and being like a normal person.
For more than 29 years, the company Language People has provided software for the deaf to communicate. While helpful, deaf people like Greg Brooks still struggled. But the actor describes the new Connect tablet software as a game changer.
In the past, I'd go to a person and I'd have to write with them and then write back and forth, hand gestures, and I wouldn't understand what they're saying. They'd write back. Now I just a push of a button, hello, here I am, and converse back and forth.
This simple device connects to Wi-Fi, and within minutes, a virtual interpreter who knows sign language and 150 different foreign tongues appears on screen.
So a resident or a visitor could use these services coming to City Hall or going to one of our libraries for a whole bunch of different things.
The City of Newport Beach and Language People partnered to provide 7 devices so residents and visitors have an easier way to communicate.
Half of the deaf population has a reading level of 3rd grade or less, which can make it difficult to do everyday activities.
This virtual conversation is similar to Skyping, but instead of a call between 2 people, it goes directly to a sign language interpreter.
America needs to know that this software has saved lives for deaf people.
The city and company look forward to adding more devices in other locations across Newport in the years ahead. In Newport Beach, Chantel Delagula, Cronkite News.
While the tablet is exclusively in Newport, there's a free app anyone can use for visual translation right on their smartphone. The app can be found in the App Store under LP Connect.
Water in the Verde River is under a lot of stress from farmers in the Verde Valley. I spent the day with one farmer looking to conserve with the help of a group that has restored over 2 million gallons of water.
Farming is my calling, my purpose.
Zach Hauser's purpose is also the family business, covering 600 acres of the Verde Valley in northern Arizona.
As far as farming goes, we're the largest in the valley.
A major component of farming, water. The Verde River looks abundant now, but not for long. Water in the Verde Valley is not adjudicated, meaning it's not regulated.
We can use, whatever we want, but us being responsible, we like to use as little as possible.
Through flood irrigation, this carrot field here would be flooded for hours with gallons of water, starting from this end and ending with that end. But the problem is those plants where we started would be in water for hours, and these plants are dry. But drip irrigation can fix that.
We're somewhere in the neighborhood of 50% efficient with flood, whereas drip can get in the 90% range efficient.
Converting to drip cost $1,000 per acre, a price that some farmers are not able to pay, according to Kim Shonick from the Nature Conservancy.
You have to install a pump, you have to have filtered water, so you have a power cost associated with the farmer takes on, and you have a lot of upfront labor to get that equipment in the ground.
The Nature Conservancy funds projects throughout the Verde Valley with the help of Change the Course, a nationwide campaign to restore fresh water. Change the Course urges companies like REI and Coca-Cola to offset their water usage by funding projects.
And be able to concentrate and see the actual impact in an area that is iconic, beautiful, a great place to paddle, and connected to the health of the watershed.
Now that the project is paid for, it's up to the Hausers to make it work.
Trying to carry on the tradition, not mess up the name too much.
I'm Scott Pelley, anchor and managing editor of the CBS Evening News. In our changing media landscape, it is crucial for journalism education to ensure a commitment to the truth, unbiased reporting, strong ethics, unwavering fairness, and above all else, accuracy. These are the hallmarks of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. It's a place where students can innovate and transform the news industry while always upholding the values of the school's namesake. The Cronkite School at ASU, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Heaven knows you're a dreamer. Don't hide it from anyone. Don't hide it from anyone. Would you believe me if I said we are here for a reason now? This is our life, this is what counts, this is for us. I will go anywhere for you.
Now, here's an @Cronkite News Pick of the Week, a favorite from the Cronkite News staff.
Opioid overdoses are one of the leading causes of death in the country. Cronkite News reporter Jelani Martinez met with the Sheriff's Department in Ventura County that started a task force that targets illegally prescribed medications.
The Pharmaceutical Crimes Unit investigates any type of illegal street drugs or prescribed medication. Aside from the top 4 narcotics, heroin, cocaine, meth, and marijuana that Ventura County originally targeted, they needed to turn their attention to a different type of drug.
But when we seen that there was a link between prescribed medications and heroin overdoses or heroin addicts, we realized that we needed to focus more on the relationship between opiate-type drugs like OxyContin.
From May 2013 to January 2017, the task force has made a total of 385 arrests and seized over $2 million. Doctors are one of the main sources of dispensing opiate drugs.
Doctors wouldn't even do an examination on some of these people, and we found that this is one of the biggest problems that we're having, and why people are having a lot of prescribed medications in their home, or they're abusing medications and ultimately going to heroin.
Patients may also have leftover opiates that can be risky to leave in the home.
We've even had cases where somebody would take their own Ritalin or Adderall, and what they would do is they would sell it for $5 or more a pill to high school kids.
If you do have any unused medications, you can drop it off right here at the pharmaceutical disposal bin, so check your local police department if they have one. Dr. Michael Hurt, who specializes in internal medicine and nutrition, encourages doctors to avoid drug-related deaths by addressing the potential effects of certain medications.
Whatever we learn from an unfortunate incident like that helps the rest of us to be better, perhaps more careful, perhaps open the communication lines a little wider so that we prevent future tragedies.
The Pharmaceutical Task Force is ultimately working to stop the epidemic and combat the transfer of legal prescriptions to the illegal market. In Ventura County, Jolani Martinez, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News is dedicated to covering the opioid epidemic in Arizona and nationwide. Our documentary, Hooked RX, From Prescription to Addiction, highlighted the problem of painkillers here in our state. You can watch the documentary and find resources for getting help online at hookedrx.com.
Cronkite News tracks your likes, tweets, and shares from all our social sites to bring you this news special. At Cronkite News, our weekly refresh. Join the conversation so you choose the news. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org for top Arizona stories anytime.